Sybil, I am Sybil Wilkes. It is a crazy day in the world today. So we thank you for joining us. And we're going to try to bring a little sense and calm and solution to all of the craziness going on as we talk about some of the issues that have gone on and what is happening today in the world of democracy. So we will have a conversation. But welcome back to our mental health and wellness contributor. Hello, young Aprylete. Russell, how are you?
Hello, Sybil. I am here. I am here.
So you're present. Yes.
Yes, I,
Yes.
I am present.
Yes. Well, we are glad to see your cute face with your Whitney hair that
Thank
we
you.
decided is your Whitney look. And we also want to welcome back the nationally acclaimed motivational speaker and therapist, Tracy Berry McGee. Tracy, welcome back. How are you?
I'm doing well as well, Sybil. Thank you for having me.
I am so glad you all are here. Aprylette, how you doing? What's going on? What's the word? What's the haps in your world? How's
Girlfriend.
Gucci Mane?
Gucci Mane is good. Gucci's great. His birthday is April 11th. He will be 11.
Wow,
So that
lucky.
yes, his golden birthday is coming up. Other than that, life is lifing. So I don't know if anybody else can understand when I say life is lifing.
Uh-huh.
And I'm here. I showed up, so that's half the battle.
And that is half the battle. That's and I actually think that's more than half the battle. And I thank you for fighting the good fight to get here and to
Yeah.
be with us today. And the same goes for you, Tracy. How are things going for you? I know you're busy.
You know what? I'm the same with April. I'm owning my now, staying in the moment. There's so much happening in the world. There's no need to move forward. We're gonna stay right here in this moment right now.
Well, I got to tell you, standing in this moment right now, it kind of scares me. I have been transfixed and watching television all day. And this is a day in which democracy has died, in a sense, in the state of Tennessee. They have, in the state of Tennessee, the Republicans have voted to expel a Democratic lawmaker, a Black man, for standing in solidarity with people who want some sensible gun laws. And they voted to not expel the white woman who stood with them. And I'm waiting to find out about the third person, a Black man. So it's one of those days where you just never think that this is going to happen. But this has been a plan for so very long by Republicans to do away with the voting rights of Black people, to do away with representation, and now to remove them. But this time, they've messed with the wrong group of people because they have messed with young people.
And they're fighting back. Yeah.
And they are fighting back. Absolutely. And this one young man, his name is Justin Jones. This is not the first time a lot of people in Tennessee have heard of him, but it will not be the last time you've heard his name in national politics. I guarantee you, if you thought Max Frost was the only young Black gun, and I use that just as a symbolic term, the only young, vital young Black man in the United States Congress, wait, just you wait, because he is a force to be reckoned with. And there's another Justin, his name is Pearson, and he is the third person that they're voting on regarding whether to expel them from the U.S. Congress. I'm energized. I don't know what I can do for them, but whatever I can to help them get back in office and to move forward and to keep these young people, I'm telling you, thousands upon thousands of high school and college students are banding together. They've come together, all colors, all ages, all demographics, and they are working together for the good. And they're going to show the state of Tennessee, and they're going to show the country, and they're going to show the world what democracy looks like.
Yeah.
And that's
a good fight right there.
That's right. And you can mess with them if you want to. But I tell you that all of these, and I don't want to get into the whole black-white thing, but I'm telling you, all these old white people that are running things in Tennessee, you better find another way to make a living.
Oh, yeah. They got a fight on their hands for sure.
Yeah,
For
they
sure.
definitely have a fight on their hands. So that's what one of the things we're talking about in the What You Need to Know newsletter. This is our daily newsletter, and we talk about things that pertain to the African American community. And certainly, when you see they have tried to take away the voting rights of people throughout the country in the Republican-controlled legislatures. They have gerrymandered the vote, as they say, and tried to take away the voice of the people, as they have in Tennessee today. These are some of the things that we talk about, but we also talk about a number of other things. We talk about the LGBTQ plus community. We talk about social justice. We talk about health and wellness. And Aprylete is here as our mental health and wellness contributor. And Aprylete, you write in the newsletter today about parenting styles and how this affects our children.
Yes, and it's wild that I chose this story, but this is a new study that came out because I don't have any children. So it's kind of hard to speak from a stance without any children. But this new study that came out, it's pretty much just speaking that parents who harshly discipline their children may be putting them on a path towards mental health, lasting mental health symptoms. And during the research, they found that 75 out of 7,500 children, 10% of them fell in that high risk category. And when we think about harsh parenting, that is overly yelling and just that controlling behavior and that persistentness. So some of those children that fell into that category, they have the mental health symptoms that are going to be ranging from sadness to acting out. Those worsened over the year. So the study also looked at consistent parenting styles, and nothing really was changed with that that portion of the study that came out. And that consistent parenting style seemed to have benefits for the children's well-being over the years. And my thing when it comes to parenting styles, just being in a Black household.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, being in a Black household, I don't know, like, if you hashtag Black parents be like on social media, it's a whole thing because we all kind of live the same life. Our parents all kind of parent us with a little strictness. There was really no toleration. You couldn't really step out of line being a Black child. So I'm eager to see in this study what really was the racial dynamics with the children that were actually a part of this study, to be honest, because I just know that being parented in a Black household is different than a white household. And I can say that because I went to a white babysitter all my life, and the way that she parented her children were just different.
Yeah. And so let me ask you this. When you went from the white babysitter back home in the evening, what was that like? Because I had the experience of going to a white school and then coming home to a Black neighborhood. But I was just wondering for you, what was that like for you?
I hate to say it like this, but in that community, it's kind of like you are free to explore. You're free to just kind of do whatever. There's really no restrictions. And at home, it's just like, you better not. You better think about that. You can't do this. And I think that comes from a place of fear. That comes from a place of survival. The way that we had to be, like, Black children just don't have the luxury to just kind of go out in the world and do whatever, because of just how it is being Black in America.
And Tracy, is that your experience too? Do you understand what Aprylete is saying?
Oh, absolutely. Well, so I also went to a school in a different community that did not look like mine. And so I was around a lot of white kids, but at home, my grounding with having grandparents raising me and the whole village concept of everybody could discipline you in that space, the whole village, not it takes a village, but the whole village. But from a mental health perspective, we also know that 1 in 14 children are being raised by a caregiver with poor mental health. And so all we know is what we grow with, right?
Yeah.
And so as a result of that, now we know what the ACE score looks like. I mean, my ACE score is an 8. And so and many of us could look at the things my mom said, do as I say, not as I do. And I'm, and so they didn't practice what they preach. And so oftentimes I was disciplined and I should be like traumatized. And I believe that I was. But also, when you know better, you do better.
Yeah.
And so we've got to look at what that balance looks like. Now, my son grew up and he ended up going to a private school where I would pick up those kids that I'm like, who raising these boys?
Right.
Because those moms with those kids would talk to their parents any kind of way. April, it was kind of like a Montessori type of thing. I'm like,
Yeah.
hey,
Yeah.
you get in my car, you say good evening, yes, ma'am, all those type of
Mm-hmm.
things. And it was very different. They thought I was the mean mom.
Right.
Yeah. So do
And
you
so,
believe that I'm sorry to cut you off when you said that kind of the mental capacity of the parents, do you believe that that shapes the way that the parenting style of what parenting style that they use, since there's so many different parenting styles? I know now people are doing the gentle parenting. Is it really the mental like space that the parent is in and this is shaping how they're parenting children?
oh, absolutely. Think about it. In today's society, we constantly have to tell. Remember, my parents grew up. I know I'm not your friend.
Right.
Like I'm
Yeah.
not your friend.
Yeah.
Now you have kids that are being raised like their mamas are the best friends. Like kids
Yeah.
doing talks with the parents, and they're watching television shows and different things and listening to music and not having pure discussion about it. Um, so the other thing is I was a latchkey kid. So I
Mm-hmm.
was a very independent kid, but there were rules and there were boundaries and
Right.
there were value systems that were there. Yes, mental health was real and that is still a issue, but we're also dealing with trauma. We're dealing with
Yeah.
economic trauma. Like, so our kids have so many factors to deal with. So
Yeah.
you're going to see that parent out of fear. I don't need you to leave this house. I don't need you to be on social media and not knowing how to deal with it. So
Yeah.
And
it's
when
going to
social media may be your only friend, when you
Yeah.
are at home waiting for your parent to
right.
come home, and you may be like me, that only child, and at that time, it was like nobody can come in the house. No, you cannot open the
Yep.
door. No, you
Yep.
cannot. You can't sit on the porch. You can't. No, you stay in the house. You do your homework, and then I'll be home shortly.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I don't know. Thank God for books. I don't know if I would
Exactly.
have been able to handle this social media thing. You need those templates in place to tell the kids about the people that you connect with. Because
Right.
many of the girls that we work with in our programs, they have more friends on social media than they do in their. They don't even know their neighbors.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
true. That's true. I got it. I got a million followers, but I can't tell you who lives next door, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you know what, April? You know what? I know the dog. I know the car. I like that's their car. That's such and such dog. I don't really know.
Mm-hmm.
We got to do better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do have really one more question, because like in the study when it says that harsh parenting influences mental health in children. At the end of the day, we all have mental health, and at times our mental health is being challenged. So I guess just maybe for the viewers and just for me too, when it comes to something that is affecting our mental health, when it's negative, like how can we understand the difference between something affecting us for the moment or affecting us lasting that may turn into a mental illness? Because with studies like this and how social media, everybody, mental health is definitely being destigmatized, and I love that. But I think
Right.
that there's a lot of blurred lines, and I don't want people to read, stories like this out of our newsletter and just think like, oh, well, my child is going to have a mental health problem if I discipline them. It's not that black and white. Like, so could you kind of explain a little bit, just explain a little bit how mental health and mental illness is definitely different, or just like with the
Right.
challenges doesn't mean that you have a mental health problem. It's just moments in life or something kind of like that. I'm sorry, but you get what I'm saying?
I do, I do. And I think that, like you said, the more that we become aware of the issues, that we could break down the differences between that. We also have to look at some of the stigmas that things where it came from, and when it comes to like church and how we know we can pray and hold things together, but also mental illness is something that can be in your DNA. It
Yeah.
also can be triggered by look at some of the things that we've dealt with that trauma brings about. And so there's a difference between mental illnesses, and I'm experiencing an interpersonal issue right now in my life that's causing me some trauma, but I'm going to work through this. And
Mm-hmm.
as a result of that, either you've worked through it or you're going to see patterns.
Yeah.
And we've seen patterns in certain families, and you're like, oh, I've seen this before. My grandmother dealt with this.
Mm-hmm.
Bipolar is a part of our family. Anxiety. This was on schizophrenia. There's a difference between the mental illnesses. And no, I'm going through something because I'm transitioning in my life.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
And that just affects your mental health a little. Like,
hey, I'm going through menopause. And so as a result of that, I might snap, or my social emotional is impacted because I haven't, gotten rest. So there's a difference between stress and depression and the pattern. But when you see a pattern, it's not going to just affect you at home. It's going to affect you at work. It's going to affect you in relationships. And you got to go back to, how do I work through this?
And the pattern doesn't last always.
That part right there. Part right there.
That's why I say that grounding, like when you said, how are you today? I'm going to own my now. Because tomorrow has its own day. But in this moment,
right now,
that's where I am.
Yep.
Yes.
That is powerful. Yes, that is absolutely powerful. And it's more of that great conversation we're going to have. I'm so glad you're here today, Tracy, for both Aprylete and me. And for those folks who are, going through some things, you and I discussed that we both had an old-fashioned cold, and how even now at my age, a cold really takes you. It used to have like a couple of days and then you'd be okay. But these things, weigh and wear you down. And and I know as an only child, my mother recognized that I didn't have siblings to kind of share my angst or my anger or things with. And so my mother was not my friend, but she was open to my expressing myself. Within reason, I couldn't cuss, I couldn't call anybody out their name, but I could, just use my words to express my frustration.
Sybil, could you say lie? Could you say the word lie? I had to say story.
Telling a story. She's telling a story. Yes, exactly. Yep. That's right. That's absolutely right. Because there's some words you cannot say, and it just wasn't accepted. And I don't know if it's my mother's, Kansas and Missouri upbringing or what, but it was the same kind of thing in our house. And so I'm really glad you're here to talk about this. I do want to talk about something that's in the newsletter that is very exciting. And as we talked about the new generation of Black leadership in our country, Chicago has a new mayor, a young man by the name of Brandon Johnson. He is a progressive, and I believe that he is going to, I believe his supporters, when they tell me that they believe he is going to lead them to a brighter day. He's going to motivate them and do the right things business-wise and politically to bring about a fresh day and a fresh look in the city of Chicago, and a coalition of people that are really going to be bringing about change.
A fresh look. He's kind of handsome too. He's not bad. He's not bad on the eye.
Well, that too was what drove a lot of people was the fact that you had this young, good-looking Black man who was running, as opposed to an older white man who looked like he'd seen some days. And so it was that kind of energy that really took over his campaign. And a former school teacher, married man with 3 children, and grew up on the west side of Chicago in a family of 8. Knew how to finagle and maneuver, within the family with 4 sisters in 1 bathroom, that kind of thing that we grew up with. That's exactly, the kind of person who knows how to engage people in compromise. And so it's going to be a different day.
Compromise if you grow up with 4 sisters.
Okay. And your daddy, your daddy's a preacher and a carpenter, and he is, working all these jobs to support his family. And so he has a great background and also a really good look at the way he plans to guide the city of Chicago. So I'm very excited. So please take a look at that. Cameron O'Reilly did that story. And then of course, Aprylete's great work, and we have our health stories about and the uptake on this story that I wrote about health. No alcohol is good for you, which is killing me today. But
because you need a cocktail, we need a cocktail, a lemon drop, a green martini.
One shot. they said alcohol, but not a shot, not the little shot.
Not a drop. They say that
Nobody.
it's ethanol is the alcohol that we're drinking in our adult beverages, and they say it's not good for you. Even when they talk about the benefits of red wine, it still has this ethanol in it. So those are the kinds of things that we have in our newsletter. Those are the discussions you've been a part of the discussions that we have as a result of this. And so we ask you to please subscribe to the What You Need to Know newsletter. Please go to SybilWilkes.com. Give us your name and your email address. Won't cost you a dime, and we'll have it in your email box every Monday through Friday morning. So let us move on to our what's really going on segment. And Tracy, I can't tell you how much I really appreciate you taking the time out of your busy schedule to join us, because this is a discussion, Aprylete. I don't know if you've seen the show this week, but it is a discussion that we've been having all week about the treatment and the reactions to young Black women, and one young Black woman in particular, and the way that young white women are regarded and the way we are treated as young Black women. And this young Black woman that we're talking about is Angel Reese, a star on the LSU Louisiana State University women's basketball team. And so, Tracy, tell folks first of all about your organization, I Define Me movement.
So the I Define Me movement focuses on building self-awareness, diversity, and leadership skills in girls all over the world, specifically when it comes to educational equity and our girls being able to define their voices and not allowing society to define you, which is something that happens quite often, as we can see even in the sports arena all over. Our girls are constantly struggling to define themselves. And so we have school-based chapters, we have national chapters, and we make sure that we go into the schools and offer culturally relevant materials for girls, for all girls, so that they can see positive reflections of themselves.
This is exceptional. And Aprylete introduced us to you and brought you into our dysfunctional little circle here. But I love what you are doing. And I also love when you talk about the love principles.
Yes.
Can you explain to people about that?
Definitely. So one of the things that I think is important is that we all talked about the importance of taking care of ourselves. And I think just like diversity has become like a buzzword, and some people like, no more diversity. No, we need to see each other. I see you. I see you. But the other piece to that is self-care. And self-care is not selfish. As Black women, we go through and we grow through so much, individually, independently, in silence, but we have to be able to check on ourselves. And in order to keep our cups full, right, we got to make sure that we do that for ourselves before we do it for anyone else. My cup can't be just like full. It has to be overflowing, as one of my friends say, sipping off the saucer, we have love for everybody. And so what that looks like is us incorporating what we call the love principle. And it's very simple. The L is listen. We have to learn to listen to ourselves. We got to listen to our bodies. We got to listen to our minds, our emotion, our spirit, our gut. Our gut. You know that. You know your spirit talks to you. You got that feeling of, I don't need to be here anymore. I don't need to deal with this person or this thing or this space. And we all experienced that in the pandemic, even though it was like 4 years ago. The O is observe. Observe the environments that we're in. Observe the people that we're in. Observe the people who say, I'm your keeper, because our nonverbals speak loud. Yeah. I can see the things that you don't say by just how you're interacting with me. So we need to observe those people who maybe shouldn't deserve to be in our space, our sacred spaces. And the LO, the V is validate. Sure, we need validation, but where does self-validation come from? And that's where the affirmation is. When I ask you what's in your cup, I'm not just talking about the coffee, the tea, the wine, the tequila, all of those things. How are you filling up your cup? What books are you pouring into you? What music is in your playlist right now? Like, how are you affirming yourself? What scripture fills you up? Who's filling you up? So affirm yourself. So that validation starts with self. I got to validate me before I can validate any and anybody else.
Yeah.
And then the E is empower. The EM, empower, is a we thing. We all we got, right? I'm like, okay, Aprylete, Sybil, call me. Like, we got to call each other and check on each other. It's a we thing. I refuse to allow my sister to suffer in silence about anything.
Right.
So that's what the love principle is. And I can't pour into you if I'm not taking care of myself first.
Right.
It's not selfish. It's definitely self-love.
Right. Absolutely. That's powerful. And I can't speak for anybody else, Tracy, but we need to be reminded of this on a regular basis. I know that's what you do with your girls. But us older girls need that too. And so it's good to have this conversation as a reminder of what we are lacking, or what we require, or what we're not doing for ourselves, or requiring others in our relationships. And so that brings us to what can we do in terms of our young women, like an Angel Reese? How can we help her fill that cup? How can we help her, with her self-esteem and her it seems like she has a pretty good handle on who she is, and she let people know that she didn't like the way she's being described and characterized. But for beyond how other people describe her, how can we help her as she navigates not only through the world of college athletics, which she's done a very good job of, but when she gets out in the world and people will not be as kind to her as perhaps she has found in her family of her teammates?
Well, one of the things that you said is this is something that we're required to do. And what that means is, I have 2 daughters and I have a granddaughter coming.
Congratulations.
Thank you. That this is not optional. We are required to, when she shares her story, when she gets out, it's all about owning your story, that we share it, that we have her front, that we have her back. Yep. She doesn't have to carry the narrative. Like, when you are a sister keeper, that means you are a keeper to another sister's issues that may not directly impact you, but it does impact you because she's your sister.
Yeah.
So we're her keepers. So we have to make sure that we uplift her, we inspire her, we empower her, we share, and we share some more, because she ain't the first and she ain't gonna be the last.
Yeah.
But we're gonna make sure that we are there to support her. And I feel like as an elder, like our auntie, all of that, we all related. We all feel that way. Every piece of who she is, from her hair to her skin to her height to her ability, smart, beautiful. We know that we have experienced what she's experienced, and she's experienced it on a global level now. That we got to be there and constantly, anytime, like you do, you better share it. You better let everybody know. We need to have conversations in safe spaces where our girls play this back. Yeah. So this is history that won't repeat itself.
That is powerful. And I think oftentimes we feel, though, and I can't speak for you, Aprylete, but I'm just say for myself, sometimes we feel like we're the only person to ever go through this. We're the only person, and no one understands. My mama's dead. My grandmama's dead. My aunties are dead. Nobody understands me or what I'm going through. And that is where we are very wrong. And I don't want to cast that kind of pall over this, but perhaps we're just incorrect in our assumptions. Perhaps we are just not willing to hear what other people want to share with us, and we may not be open to
or fearful to even fear. Like, I think fear plays a big factor in there, because I come from a standpoint where I know for a fact that I'm not alone. Like, I know that because we are all beings, we are all
Mhm.
humans, and we experience things. My story may not look like yours, but there's a piece that you can relate to something that's happened to you. But sometimes like it's like a fear-based thing. Like, I don't want to be a burden. I rather
Right.
not share. I rather not come out and talk about it. Can I trust this empowerment? Can I
Mhm.
trust this person pouring into me? For me, those are the factors that kind of play in part. So when you look at how you felt and how I feel, now there's still like a wall where nobody's doing anything. Like,
Right.
nobody's sharing, nobody's coming together. And so that's where like a Tracy comes in, and you're bringing us all together. Like, no, like, let's do this. Let's empower each other. Let's love on each other. Let's hug on each other. Let's be there for our sister keeper. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Right. And I think that the other piece is you hit it on the nails. We're all human beings being humans for the first time.
Mhm.
And there's no perfection in this. We're all
At all.
imperfectly perfect, right? So we're all defining ourselves. But the other piece to that, Aprylete, is we also know that we live in a world where we're comparing ourselves to somebody's highlight reel.
Right.
And we have already,
And the highlight reel is in social media, so everybody's life is
Yeah.
great and it's sexy and it's beautiful and it's this and that.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like,
Right.
it ain't happening here.
No, exactly. At
The
all.
good side, the good side, right?
Right.
And we gotta look at, what does that strong Black woman look like? It looks like me being vulnerable and saying today sucked. Like,
Yeah. Today ain't the day.
today
Right.
ain't the day. And you know how you like, don't mess with me today. Jesus is still on the front line, but don't mess with me because I'm right here behind him and I'm struggling.
Yeah.
But I know that I got somebody that I could call on, or a small circle, and everybody don't have that person,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. I know that I am such a geek when it comes to some things like politics or space travel or whatever it is. But today was one of those days, and people are like, "Well, why are you so upset? Why are you so?" And I'm like, "You just don't." And
Understand.
then I become frustrated because it's like, "Oh, okay," like, no, we're. And
Right.
so
Yeah.
then you don't want to have to explain it. You want
Mm.
somebody to just kind of understand and go along with you and say, "Oh, it's okay, but look at it this way." And then people are like, you'll be all right.
Do you have anybody in your circle outside of like what you do, and you talk to all of us, and you have great contributors, and you have great people on this platform right here, but do you have anybody in your core circle that you can relate, like that can relate with the politic dancer? Because that's your thing. Like, you love it.
Not who's
Movies is
not
your thing.
working right now. There isn't a person that isn't working on
Got
this
you.
that
Mhm.
I can just call and say, "Can you believe this?"
Right.
You know what I
Okay.
mean?
Mhm.
And that will happen, Aprylete, in the breakdown over the days and things like that. But
Yeah.
in the immediate,
In
it's
the
like,
height of it, no. It's like, because everybody that you know is literally working. Yes.
yeah.
Yeah. And
And
it's hard to desensitize yourself from it, because you're like, I will not be desensitized from this. This is
right.
our reality.
Yes.
Yeah.
But Sybil, you hold a safe space for us. You hold a space for all of us to click that share button to say, don't sleep on this.
Right.
You
Yeah.
better wake up. You better wake up, and you do that. And so, yeah, you self-care. I'm so glad you got
Self-care is so important. It really is. And sharing and having people that you can talk to who may not fully understand, but can just kind of
Empathize.
empathize. Yes.
Because I learned a lot of politics through you, and so when you talk, I'm like, well, tell me more, and I'm like, well, that's kind of wild, and then you break it down in a way where now we can have this dialogue, even though I may not know the fullness of it, but we can have dialogue.
You can fake the funk with me, Aprylete.
But no, I feel it though, because I'm like, oh no, that's making sense, or no, that's really wild, and I want to see what's going to happen next. And so it's just like the way that you're able to have conversations like in that type of way. So
yeah. I mean, and it may not seem like a big deal, but I promise you, I'm not going to make a big deal out of nothing.
Right.
When I tell you something, it's really it's going to be a big deal, or it's something that we need to take action on before it becomes something that we cannot get a hold of anymore. And having people understand that, or at least kind of go, Okay. All right. I see what you mean. Okay. You, like I said, you can fake the funk and then I can kind of woosah
Yeah, that's what you need. That's what you
Uh,
need. Sybil needs to breathe. She just needs somebody to say, like, okay,
Look,
I get you.
But
and
I
there's no
love the
alcohol.
idea of the sister keepers. You know, I
Yeah.
just love that. I love that, and
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
going to encourage that we embody that, and that we keep you, Tracy, as our leader here in terms of, you know, keeping the sisterhood circle going
Yeah.
and making ourselves accountable, not only to ourselves but to others, and to be helpful in any way we can.
I think Aprylete, was it one segment you said that Sybil was the sisterhood of the traveling pants?
Yeah.
We might need to do like a tour of the sisterhood of the traveling pants. But you know, we do a thing here called Woman-ish, but the ish is the independent sisterhood network, because we're independent, but we are a sisterhood,
Yeah.
and so you gotta have that. I
Yeah.
thank you for being a voice, because you make us listen.
Well,
And
thank you.
hear
Thank
you.
you. I'm so grateful that you're here. I'm grateful Aprylete decided to not be mad at us and come back today. I'm really, I'm kidding.
She's just joking, y'all.
I am kidding. I kid.
Whitney.
Um,
Whitney said, "Hell to the no." Did you say that, Whitney?
Look, I'd rather be Whitney than Mike right now, so that's totally fine.
okay. So let's talk a little bit about the trending topics and things that are happening today. As you know, I've been consumed by what's going on in the state of Tennessee, not just in Nashville, but it happened as a result of what happened in Nashville 2 weeks ago. 3 children and 3 adults were killed at the Covenant School, a small private school, grammar school in Nashville. 3 9-year-old children, or maybe 2 9, but one about to be 9 years old. 2 administrators, a teacher, a substitute teacher, and the headmistress of the school, and 1 Black man who was the custodian of the school. His name was Mr. Mike Hill. He was 61 years old, a father of 8 people. They were all murdered by this person who plotted and planned to kill. She had a stockpile of weapons that she put in her home. She took 2 automatic rifles with her to the school and a handgun, a school that she formerly attended as a child, and had it written out, her plans to kill people at this school. Why? We don't know whether she had some sort of interaction with a member of the staff, a student, whatever it was. But she was a woman who had mental illness. That is oftentimes the cause of a lot of these things. But the fact that Republicans are using this as a way to stop putting out gun control laws against the wishes of their patrons, which is the gun lobbyists. This is what is killing us.
Yep.
They're using excuses, and they're looking for ways not to have to take.
Absolutely.
We're not saying take your guns away. We're stopping the guns. Stop the sale of automatic weapons. There's no need for them
at all.
Red flag laws for the people who have issues, have mental issues, may have a domestic situation, whatever it is. Put it up there so the flag goes up when these people apply for a gun weapon permit. There are a number of other issues, but this was enough for the people, for the students of Nashville, of all of Tennessee, to come forward and say, enough is enough.
Yep.
And so they had some leadership in the state representatives in the House. 3 people, 2 young Black men and an older white woman who is a former teacher who had a shooting at her school. So she understood what the children were going through. She understood the terror and the peril that existed as a part of being a part of this shooting and having survived it. They came together, and they were a part of the group who are fighting for gun violence erasure. They're trying to change the laws. the majority of the state representatives of the House, of the state House, are white people and Republicans. And they are not going to have their guns taken away by God, by golly. They have Christmas cards with every member. Some members have Christmas cards. Every member of their family holding a weapon. Yeah. This is how connected they are to their guns.
And sick.
It's not about taking away, as I said in the newsletter, it's not about taking away your Second Amendment rights. It's about maintaining our First Amendment rights, the right to speak. And that's what they were trying to do to these three people. And so the first person was up for a vote. He gave an incredible speech on his behalf before they voted. That was a straight party line vote, voting him out.
Of course.
Taken out of his job. The second person to come up was Gloria Johnson. This is the white teacher, former teacher. And she spoke, and they did not vote to expel her. She kept her job. Now I'm watching and trying to see what's happening with the third person, a second Black man who got his job, started his job the day of the shooting. He hasn't even been in there very long. And he's like, you're telling me these rules that I broke, and nobody told me when I came in 10 days ago that this was wrong. So when we talk about democracy and what that looks like, democracy is freedom. Yes. It is putting everybody and making everything equal. And this is what they are removing. They're removing our right to vote by gerrymandering people's their districts, their voting districts, so that they don't have the power for people to represent them. They are taking away the times, the opportunities for us to vote. Yep. And they are taking away our representatives.
It's all by design. It is all by design.
And that's why we have to fight.
Yep.
I know we got a lot of issues. We got a lot of stuff going on in our homes, in our towns, in our communities, but we have to fight. And people have done that. In the state of Kansas, they would not allow that state, the representatives there, to take away a woman's right to her body and what to do about it, right? In the state of Wisconsin, they voted for a more liberal Supreme Court justice because they were tired of the way that this conservative leading Supreme Court justices were voting in terms of taking away the right to vote, gerrymandering, as well as the possibility of removing abortion as a right in the state of Wisconsin. This just happened on Tuesday. They voted in a more liberal woman voting against a conservative white man. And now they're already talking about impeaching her. She ain't done a damn thing yet. But they're talking about impeaching her.
There yet.
It's just the idea, right?
Yeah.
We've got to get back to old politics. Even if you didn't agree with them, you could agree to disagree. You just don't take away their rights.
Yes.
So when you say we have to get back, it's like, what are next steps? Like for people that are listening, for us and watching, like what are next steps that we can do in this moment?
Get involved, because in the state of Texas where we are, Aprylete, this could very well happen.
Yeah,
so we have to support people that agree with us and that are going to represent us, and make sure that they have a powerful enough group of people to, and I hate to say the word fight, but to go up against this majority of people who mean us no good. We lost 21 children in the state of Texas on 21 people, 2 teachers, 19 children in one day. And the state legislature did nothing. You know what they did? They went to the NRA lobbyist convention that weekend after those people were killed. That's the state of Texas. So if it can happen there, it can happen here. It can happen wherever you have the majority of people who do not look like you and often do not think like you. And so we have to support the people in Tennessee. And that means, if we go and campaign for them, if we can donate to them, whatever, and support these young people who are about doing the right thing and making change in our world. Because I'm too old to do this, and I got too many skeletons in my closet to do this. I can't run for office, but I'm telling you, I will support you whatever way I can. But
That's important.
But we have to get involved, April.
Yeah.
We can't just sit back and say, that's a shame. That's really too bad.
Yeah, we gotta get involved.
If we don't, we're going to be in one, as my mother used to say, because we didn't cuss. Well, she did, but I couldn't. We're going to be in one mell of a hess. And so that means that we are going to be in trouble.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I think that, and you know, this is what I do love is that you can see our youth are tired.
Yeah.
And they not sitting down. I like what the t-shirt said. I'm my ancestors, you know,
that's right.
biggest dream. Like I'm ready.
I am the fruition. I am the creation of their dreams. Yeah.
And we got to show them. I think the biggest piece is education.
Yeah.
We got to educate on what leadership looks like, what it looks like when you vote for local people who are going to do the work, and these people who just get in because of a name.
Right.
You know, they're doing the work like you saw in Chicago. We've got to change the narrative. So we got to have conversation on a grassroots level and pour into them. The donations, all of that.
Yeah.
The text messages that we send has to have some substance.
Hashtag, are you registered to vote? Are you voting? Here's when voting is.
Yeah.
And do what like Reverend Jesse Jackson did. For years growing up in Chicago, there were always the stories that he would be at high school graduations with a handshake and a voter registration card to get them, because as a senior in high school, you're pretty close to 18 and you should be able to register to vote.
Yeah.
Get them involved and take your children when you're out there, just like with George Floyd when we had the protest and people came out. Get your children involved, your grandchildren, take them out there and show them what real work in the community is all about.
I think
and really having
ready. They're ready. I've been seeing them. They're coming out together. The schools are saying yes, because the schools know that this is an issue and the kids are ready. So as parents, like, you know, we might not be able to take the kids to school work day. No, now we need to go to the school. And when the kids go fight, we got their back. We've got to show them, I support you.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. We have to support each other. And as you talk about, you know, in terms of the sister keeper, we have to be the family keeper. We have to be the dream keepers.
Yeah. Yeah. And keep and I keep on, like, in my mind as you guys are talking, I'm just like, and keep like filling our cup with that knowledge. And like having people like you, Sybil, and people that understand a little bit more than others that don't get it. It's just like, keep on pouring that knowledge out there. Keep on educating us, because it's one thing to be registered to vote, but if you don't know what you're voting for, if you don't understand even the basics, it's just like, let's hashtag that. At this point, you know, like let's really get into the meat of things. Let's get into the thick of things, because I think if the young people and just other people too had the knowledge, it would look so much different. Yes. You know, it would look so much different if you actually knew like what was going on. Because like, it's
so
deep.
It's incumbent upon us, Aprylete, to put into the newsletters and to in our conversations to say, well, here are the issues. And when you look at the ballot, the further down the ballot you go, that's closer to what affects your life.
Yep.
Ooh.
So that piece right there, and me and my girlfriends, we were having conversations, and I was like, how far are you into politics? So we kind of like had our banter back and forth, and I was speaking that I learned more with you. But we're like opening our mind to different things and trying to learn more and be more educated, so that fire can sit there, and that fire and that desire to fight and to show up looks different than just being there.
Absolutely.
You know, actually making that change. And it really just comes with education and knowledge as well. So I just encourage whoever is watching, If you know something, you should start pouring into the people around you when it comes to these issues. And we just have to open up that dialogue and that conversation, because I think if we really do that, then there'll be more people on the front lines for sure.
Absolutely. And look at what they have done so far. I'm telling you, politics is never going to be the same in the state of Tennessee. It's never going to be the same in the state of Kansas. After you see what can be done, and you see that real goodness and change can take place.
It's like, I want to be a part of that.
And that a Black man can, for the second time in the city's history, for the second time, a Black man elected to be mayor of the city of Chicago. It took another 40 years, but it has happened.
Yep.
And so all of these and Black and brown people working together.
That part
is really important.
That
really important. It's really important.
That's the hashtag right there, Sybil.
Working together. Okay.
That's right.
But absolutely. The key is, you like the Black and brown. We've got to do it.
Yep, absolutely. Okay, so I've given you my thoughts. I'm going to step off of my soapbox right now. I'm just going to step off.
You needed that though. That right there, that's what you needed, and this is a safe space for you.
And it was. I felt as though I wasn't being judged, and I felt that I was validated in a sense, Aprylete. So I appreciate that. I wanted to share in our education. In our entertainment section. Aprylete, this is before your time, but there used to be a TV show called Friends.
I didn't see Friends.
Well, before
the
Friends,
spin-off of A Living Single, they stole the stuff from Living Single.
Exactly. So you know the history, right?
Okay.
And on Friends, mysteriously enough, there were very few Black people for these friends that lived in New York City, and so that was a running joke. And Aisha Tyler, who was Ross's girlfriend,
the black girl.
She was the Black girl.
Mm-hmm.
And she said even 20 years later, fans still call her the Black girl from Friends. She wasn't the only Black girl. I must say, before Aisha Tyler, our friend Sherry Shepherd was on Friends.
Okay.
But Aisha had a long arc there, and she starred with David Schwimmer and Matt LeBlanc's love interest. Her name was Charlie Weaver, and she says that when she's out on the streets, the people say, "You're the Black girl from Friends," and she said, the experience of being a part of this just can happen any day at any time. Mm-hmm. And she said, "I literally yelled at somebody in the car the other day, 'We're on a break,' because they're like, 'When are you coming back?'" So she said she can't imagine that if they did Friends today, that it would be as white centric as it is.
Of course not.
But she still gets a kick out of the fact that she's the Black chick from Friends. And I think there are worse things to be known as. I still get, being the geek and the laugh and all of that from the Dorner show. So there are worse things to be known as, but however people remember you, and especially as an actress where, your notoriety can be tied to a number of different things.
The lady from Friday, Felicia, she came out and she said that she always is stereotyped as Felicia from Friday.
Right.
And Felicia's character was not all of that. So she definitely, carries that along with her. Like throughout all of these years, she still is known as Felicia from Friday.
Well, and it's interesting how those things come about, and certainly they're not things that are planned. It just just happenstance, and the stars aligning for something like that to happen. And the creators of Friends, who stole it from Living Single, still get a lot of grief about the fact that it was such a monoclonal show. Yeah. But they said they would have changed things and they would have done things a little differently.
No, they wouldn't have, because they had the opportunity too, and they chose to go the route that they did, so they wouldn't have changed anything.
Right,
and it was acceptable, and they kept it going. I mean, if they wanted diversity, they would have added diversity, but that wasn't in their heart.
If they did it today, then people would still complain. I mean,
don't they have any white friends?
Look,
it would have been a problem.
Little Mermaid,
Oh my God! Yes.
I'm ready to rent out a whole theater
Exactly.
No,
I'm with
and
you.
bring the girls.
Okay, because this is what culturally relevant materials, books, movies, producers, activists,
Yep.
politicians look like. We look up to them when we see them, and we have to
Yes.
see more of it. And so
Yeah.
it has to become the norm.
Yeah.
And if it's not the norm, they know that, because when we come up and we show out, Black excellence is just who we are.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
That's right.
And
Yeah.
so that's why you want to emulate everything that we do. And
Our language,
unfortunately,
the way we look, the way we dress, our hair, even
it's a vibe. It's a whole vibe.
It's a
Okay?
It's a
vibe.
whole vibe, baby.
It
And
is a
ain't nothing
whole
wrong
vibe.
with that.
Ain't nothing wrong with it.
That is so true. I have so enjoyed this conversation, ladies. I thank you so much for the sisterhood and for the loving on each other. And I appreciate you more than you could possibly know. We're going to close out with our daily inspiration, Yogi's Jewel. Contribute to others' creative expression by not judging their creativity. Judge not. Okay. Lest ye be, the rest. Tracy, how can people follow you?
They can follow me on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Tracy Berry McGee, hashtag. It's Tracy Berry -McGee, MCGHEE on all social media. Instagram is Soulflower Sister.
I love that.
That's it.
And young Aprylete, are you back on social, or are you still on
I
vacation?
am not. I'm still on vacation hiatus, but
Cleansing.
if y'all like me and y'all love me, just tune in on Thursdays if I show up. If I make it.
And she will make it.
Social media cleansing is good. We need to do that. We only do it when we go on cruises, Sybil, but we need to.
You're right. You are so right. You are so right. When is your grandbaby coming?
She is due on July the 17th. And so my grandson, his name is Amir, and her name will be Amaya. Okay, Amaya Angelo. I can't wait. We're gonna have a little sister keeper.
Oh,
I love
so
that.
great.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
We absolutely love that. And we will talk to you before then, but send pictures too. Yes. And ladies, I just want to thank you all so much. Everybody, thank you for joining us. We will see you all again soon. Get out and do something. Let's do something. Okay?
Have a great weekend, you guys.
Aloha.